Hello there. My name is Justin McFatridge, for those of you who don't know, and this is my story. For the first 14 years of my life, I was just like your typical kid, teenager. I was involved in volunteer activities through my church and enjoyed hanging out with my friends and all types of activities. I was a swimmer on the swim team. I spent a majority of time in the pool, and it was pretty much my go-to whenever I was looking for something to do or just get away from things. The pool was my sanctuary, which is kind of ironic, as you'll find out later in this video when I tell you a little bit more about my story. I was also a soccer player. I played both recreationally and on the travel team. Sports were never really my thing as far as abilities. I was definitely not the most coordinated kid, but I sure tried my hardest to, be a part of the team. I really enjoyed the aspect of being able to contribute on a team and, work towards a common goal, which seems to be a theme in my life. Um, so now let's get to very significant event that occurred on July 28th, 2001. I was on vacation with my family in Florida. We were attending a softball game for my sister. Well, it was actually a softball tournament. It was like the national tournament, and it was in Jupiter, Florida. We had just left Disney World, where we were at the day before, and we had arrived at our hotel in Jupiter, and we'd probably been there about 30 minutes. And my mom was trying to get everything unpacked, and my dad had gone to the laundromat to do some of our laundry. And I decided to go down to the swimming pool at the hotel with my sister, who was 12, and her friend, who was 13, to go for a little swim. So we got down to the pool, and me being in pools all the time, I was anxious to get in, so I was the first one to decide to jump in the pool. Well, I had dove into a pool thousands of times through swimming. Anyone that's seen swimming knows, when you enter the pool, you enter from a block and you dive in. So I dove in 1,000 times. Well, when I dove in this time, something was definitely different. Um, Upon entering the pool, my head made contact with the incline where the shallow end dips down to the deep end of the pool. So not necessarily the bottom, but more of like the incline. So upon making contact with the incline, the vertebrae in my neck around the cervical 5 and 6 area compressed on top of each other. And when this compression happened, it damaged my spinal cord. So as soon as the impact happened, I knew something was wrong. My body became tingly all over, and I was paralyzed completely. I was able to get myself to float to the top of the pool, but I was unable to turn over. It was probably about a minute or two that I was able to, hold my breath and maintain my consciousness, but eventually everything went dark and I lost consciousness. Next thing I remember was being awoken on the side of the pool, surrounded by my mom, um, the friend, the friend's mom, and some medical personnel, just stabilizing my neck. And the first thing that came to my mind to say to everyone around me was I was sorry. I couldn't believe that my action was causing all this turmoil for everyone, and it was guilt. Guilt was the first thing that came to mind. So I was sitting there, and I had no idea of how I got to the side of the pool, because for last thing I remembered before waking up was thinking about, oh my gosh, I can't breathe, I can't turn over, what am I gonna do? I tried screaming the name of my sister, but I knew she couldn't hear me because I was underwater. Well, it came to find out that my sister and her friend actually saved my life. They pulled me from the pool, did everything textbook. They maintained stability in my neck to prevent further damage in my spine. They did mouth to mouth and CPR resuscitation and brought me back to life, which is just amazing if you think about it, because Here, a 12-year-old and a 13-year-old did something that most adults could never even imagine, especially in a high pressure situation. So, I mean, it really put things into perspective that, somebody was watching out for me that day, and he gave my sister and her friend strength to pull me out of the water. So, they had done that and brought me back to life. So, the next thing that happened was an ambulance came, and they weren't going to take me by ambulance because of the severity of my injury. Anytime you're messing with a spine, everything has to be perfect because one little jar can cause farther more damage that you already have. And when the spinal injury happens, you don't even know the severity of the injury because your body goes through this thing called spinal shock, which means everything basically stops. So it's like you're completely paralyzed and your spinal cord is not working. So once the swelling starts going down, that's when you really get an idea of what type of injury you have and the severity of the paralysis. So they stabilized everything and they actually brought a helicopter to come transport me to a local hospital. It was pretty significant and it made the news because they actually had to shut down I-95, which is a major highway down here in Florida on the East Coast. Goes up and down through most of the towns there and ends up in Miami. So I was airlifted to a hospital called St. Elizabeth's. And when I got there, I was in the ICU for quite a while. Um, it, there was a 2 week period where things were really hard. I was going through extreme guilt. I my parents and the people around me were so upset, and it just really was tearing me up, and I just was so upset with what what I was causing them, all the pain I was causing because I didn't want it. I don't want to inconvenience anyone, and I was like, how could I be putting this burden on the people I love? How is this isn't doing this is not love, and I it was just really hard. Um, there was a moment though where things really came into perspective. I was in the ICU, and their ICU was not the most high tech, so the rooms weren't actually rooms, they were separated by curtains. And there was a little girl in the area next to me with a curtain, and she was in a tubing accident with her little brother. The dad lost control of the boat, and the tube ended up hitting a dock. The brother was okay; he just had a broken arm, but the girl was really badly injured. And unfortunately, one day she ended up coding, and the curtain was open, and I just remember all of the doctors and medical staff running around like crazy trying to resuscitate her and bring her back to life, but they were unfortunately unable to do so, and she ended up dying. And it was that moment when all that was happening that God really helped me put things in perspective. Um, Here I was, yeah, I was paralyzed and dealing with physical limitations, but I still had my life. Um, I was still the same person I was before. Thankfully, because of the quick action of my sister and her friend, there was not a significant amount of time where I lost oxygen to my brain, so I had no mental um, incapabilities as a result of my injury. And also, the fact that I hit my head on the bottom of the pool and didn't suffer any brain damage was miraculous in itself. So I just started thinking about all of the things that were going right in my life and all of the things that I needed to be thankful for. And I just, from that moment on, decided, you know what? Rather than counting the things I can't do, let me count the things that I can do or the things that I can be thankful for. So that's what I try to do in everything. Um, and that's the main focus for my life. It's not about me. None of this is about me. And then, sharing my testimony it's not about self-glory or anything like that. It's about letting people know that you're going to encounter things in your life that are going to be difficult. You're going to have challenges. And it's not about what has happened to you or the challenge you're facing. It's more about how you choose to react to it. Because as humans, one of the things that we're just programmed to do is for the 999 positive things that go within our lives or happen within our lives, we're always going to remember that one negative thing. It's just a part of who we are. So, what I try to do and what I try to instill onto other people is rather than thinking about the negative as a negative, think about all of the ways that it can help you grow as a person or that it has an impact on your life. Like, for example, let's take a look at my injury. Yes, I have physical limitations. I require the use of a wheelchair, and I cannot be as fully independent as I would love to be. However, because of my wheelchair, I have been given the immense amount of opportunities to help others. Um, I'm able to do things like this, share my testimony with you, and bring glory to the Lord. I've met so many amazing people that who knows, I probably would have never met had this not happened to me. That includes the people I've met since I moved down in Tampa. Also, I've had the opportunity of meeting people while being hospitalized, including nursing students and physical therapy students, and just bringing along further education to them. Um, I'm fortunate enough where I can speak on my behalf as a patient and, communicate with these students about the need to listen to your patients and know that they're people too. They're not just somebody in the hospital bed that you're taking care of, just not another body to take care of. They have feelings, they have things that they're going through. They may not know exactly what they need, but they have an idea, and they are the best source of information for you. I've actually had a couple nursing students come back and tell me that as a result of just, talking with me or having the opportunity to take care of me, it's helped put into perspective what kind of nursing they want to go into, which is a rehabilitation setting. One of my really good friends in Nashville was a physical therapy student when I met him, and he decided to do his dissertation on a type of surgery I've had, which is not very well known. So the main purpose of that was to spread, awareness of this type of surgery and the benefit that can have to someone with a spinal cord injury, and communicate that with his classmates. So, I really get a strong sense of enjoyment and fulfillment, sorry about that, for being able to do things like that. Because like I said, it's not about me, and I'm not looking for personal glory or personal satisfaction or anything. My main focus is to help as many people as I can and use my situation to impact the lives of others in a positive way. Because you're going to face challenges. It's a part of life, but those challenges definitely do not have to define you. People ask me all the time, make the comment all the time, it must be so difficult living with a disability. But one of the things that I try to communicate to them is a disability is basically something that you have a limitation in. For example, my disability is I'm unable to walk and I have limited use of my upper extremities. But really, if you think about it, we all have disabilities. We all have things that we're not the best at or things that limit us. But that doesn't have to dictate what we do or how we live our lives. In fact, it's actually a blessing because it forces you to do things that you may not be comfortable with doing. You know, my accident has, and my disability has, caused me to sort of become more of an extrovert and seek out opportunities to talk to other people and introduce myself. Before my accident, I was pretty outgoing, but I was the type that could get easily lost in a room and didn't want to be the first one to initiate conversation or have eye contact with anyone. But my disability, um, fortunately, has caused me to develop those skills, and to the point now where I make it a point whenever I go to a new place to introduce myself to as many people as possible. One of the reasons for this is because there can often be a negative connotation about people in wheelchairs, that they maybe have mental capabilities or a sense of unknown and uncomfortable feeling about being around people in with disabilities or in wheelchairs, because it's not the normal or normalcy, or something that's common. But I just want to go out there and show people that I'm just another person. The wheelchair doesn't define me. you know I look at it like this. I just have the benefit of being able to have a chair everywhere I go, so I never have to look for a seat. I've always got a seat. Sorry, had to throw in a little humor there. But it doesn't define me. It doesn't stop me from doing what I want to do. The Bible verse that is the theme for my life is actually Philippians 4:13, which says, "For I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." And I truly believe that. I don't believe that I have any limitations. God will give me strength and allow me to do whatever He wants me to do, and that I have a passion for doing. I just have the added benefit of finding a way to adapt what I want to do to fit my situation. But I'm not alone in that. You can do that as well. You can find a way to adapt your situation to fit whatever you want to do or whatever goals you have. So, the main takeaway that I would like, to communicate in this video, which thank you again for the opportunity to share my testimony and just give you a little insight into my life. But the main thing I'd like for you to take away is that there are going to be things in your life that are difficult. There are going to be times in your life where you struggle. And there are going to be certain things that do not come easy to you. With that being said, though, those things do not have to be negatives. Those things can be positives. Just think of every circumstance that you encounter as an opportunity to make your life more fulfilling. If it's a challenge, just think of the excitement of the opportunity to be able to overcome that challenge or figure out a way to adapt to get past that challenge. Don't ever limit yourself. Trust in God and trust in yourself, and all things are possible.